Just really quickly, if you can tell our viewers a little about yourself and how long you've been an attorney.
So I am Joan Grimes, and I am a real estate and bankruptcy attorney. I'm also a broker in California. I specialize in helping people with bankruptcy, short sale, and foreclosure issues right now. I've been doing this for about 27 years. I actually spent the first approximately 20 years of my career representing banks and lenders, so I have the advantage of sort of knowing both sides of the road here. So that really helps people when they're trying to figure out their options in these very trying times.
Joan, you know, a lot of folks right now, they're debating, should I keep my home? Should I let my home go? Should I short sell my home? For someone to listen, because I know there's folks out there that have like 3-4 homes and all their homes are upside down. When they come to see you, or if they don't come to see you, what's the first thing they should do before they go see some agent, you know, before they even meet an attorney? What advice do you have for these folks that have 3-4 properties and they're all upside down? What do they need to do?
Well, when we're looking at housing in California in particular, but this would apply wherever you were across the United States, we would like people to understand that really housing has 3 components. We think of it as a 3-legged stool. It has the emotional component. That is, how much do you need this house?
Right.
There is the financial component. And the financial component we look at is, does this house really make sense? Can you pay off this loan by the time you retire? If you can't pay off this loan by the time you retire, then what we would like people to look at is, how does the mortgage, which would include the mortgage payment itself, plus the property taxes, plus the insurance and the maintenance, how does that compare to a rental in a similarly situated place?
Right.
So does this, even if the property is underwater, does this property make financial sense for them? If neither one of those components makes sense, so if they're not going to pay off the loan and it doesn't make financial sense from the point of view of rent versus their mortgage payment, then we want to make sure they look at the 3rd leg of the stool before they do anything else, which is the legal component. And that's what I do with people, is I help them to understand the legal component. I tell people the legal component we really break down into 3 pieces, which is one of the reasons we did this chart for people.
Right.
Is we want them to understand, how do things affect their credit, their personal liability, and their tax liability. If people can get their arms around those 3 pieces of the puzzle, they will be able to make better decisions going forward as to what to do with each property.
Right.
So we say to them, with regards to their credit, is if you're going to do a short sale or a foreclosure, it can stay on your credit up to 7 years. Doesn't mean it will, it just means it can under California law.
Right.
With regards to a bankruptcy can stay on a person's credit up to 10 years from the date of the bankruptcy filing.
Not from the date that has been discharged.
No, that is a common misconception. It's from the date of the bankruptcy filing. And that doesn't mean that a lender or a credit bureau is going to continue to have it on it for 10 years. It just means that's the maximum they can have.
Right.
The second part of it is we want people to understand their personal liability.
Right.
And the key to understanding a person's personal liability when it comes to housing is to understand the difference between non-recourse debt, which we call the golden ticket, and recourse debt. Now, so the way you understand this, you want me to...
Let's first talk about short sale.
Okay.
And let's talk about in California right now, okay?
Yes.
So in California, somebody wants to short sell their home. Why do they want to go see a CPA or attorney before they give their home over to someone to list it for them? Why would they want to do that?
That's a great question, because people need to understand 2 things before they even contemplate a short sale or a foreclosure. That is, they must understand their personal liability and their potential tax liability.
Right.
You can really understand these concepts very easily and very quickly What we want people to understand with regards to their personal liability is, do they have non-recourse debt, which is our golden ticket, or do they have recourse debt?
Right.
The way you can understand this very quickly is that there's just two types of debt in this life. There's unsecured debt and secured debt. Unsecured debt is whenever you sign your name on something.
Right.
The most common form is credit card.
Right.
Okay? Secured debt, consumer secured debt, which is houses and cars primarily, they have two parts. They have the promise to pay, which is just like over here on credit card, and on your house, that's the promissory notes, and on your car, that would be the purchase agreement. What makes secured debt different than unsecured debt is the security. So in California, we call the security a deed of trust. Other states, they call it a mortgage.
Right.
In either case, it's a lien. It is taken out. Now in California, the way we define the promise to pay for non-recourse debt, and most other states do this, there may be a little differences from state to state, so you need to see an attorney in your specific state. But
Right.
here in California, under CCP 580B, we define non-recourse debt to be any loan or loans used to purchase a 1 to 4 unit property and the borrower occupies at least one of the 4 units. So that's the original loan which was used to purchase the house where you live.
Okay.
Everything else is recourse debt. So if you refinance that original loan, you take a line of credit on that original loan, you go and buy a rental house, that's all recourse debt.
Okay.
What that means is in California and many other states, if you have the golden ticket and you do a short sale, okay, you will have no personal liability if you have the golden ticket. We know that for sure.
Right.
Now, effective July 15th, 2011, the California legislature amended 580E, CCP 580E, to provide that if you have more than one consensual loan, so more than one deed of trust on your property, say two, say a primary and a line of credit, you will have no personal liability.
That was a golden ticket for us real estate agents.
Absolutely. That's been a great thing. And we want to encourage people to do short sales versus a foreclosure if it makes sense for them.
Especially once this law has been passed.
Absolutely. What our concern is after July 15th is that these people forget that they also have tax liability.
Yep.
And what the tax people tell us is two things. They want to know two things. One, did you make any money on the deal?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if it's your own residence, we have that great exemption for $250 for an individual, $500 for a married couple.
Right.
Where the problem comes in on these short sales is not on the gain usually, it's on the second part. Because the IRS wants to know, did you borrow any money which was not repaid?
Right.
That's that short.
Right.
That short, they're going to issue you a 1099.
Like a cash out or refinance a pull to go to Las Vegas or wherever they went.
Right. Any cash out, if it was not used to make significant improvements to that property,
Right.
and you get that short sale done by the end of this year,
Right.
even on that case, you could have trouble.
You could.
So we really want people to come and see somebody like me,
Right.
or a tax attorney, someone who specializes in
Right.
this. I tell people, you can't just go see a normal CPA in a lot of cases. It's like going to see a general practitioner
Right.
when you have a brain tumor.
Right.
The general practitioner may be very competent,
Right.
but they're not going to be the person to do the brain surgery.
Right.